Spoilers. This is Chris, and this is Rose. Chris is nervous about visiting Rose's parents for the first time. As they drive up, Rose throws out Chris's cigarette. She does not like that he smokes. Chris calls his friend Rod, who is a TSA agent. Rod tells him he should not go to a white girl's parents' house. Chris hangs up on him. Their car hits a deer. They call the cops, and the cop asks to see Chris's ID. Rose argues that the cop has no right to ask, and the cop gives up. They reach the house, and a black groundskeeper watches on creepily. Chris meets the family. Dad takes Chris on a tour, and Chris sees a black housekeeper. Rose's parents notice Chris anxiously tapping. His smoking habit is revealed. They recommend that Rose's mom hypnotize him to cure him of his habit, but he says no thanks. They have a family dinner, and Rose's brother challenges Chris to a fight. Mom puts a stop to it. At night, Chris decides to go out for a smoke. Outside, the groundskeeper runs straight at him before turning away. Chris also sees the housekeeper staring at him, but she's just looking at her reflection. When Chris goes back into the house, he is stopped by Rose's mom. She taps on a teacup as she asks him about his mom's death. He's transported back to when he was a kid. She tells him to sink to the floor. He is now in the sunken place. He suddenly wakes up back in bed. There is a party, and everyone is keen to meet Chris. One even feels his muscles. Chris sees another black guy, but the black guy has a weird way of speaking. He's also with an old white woman. When Chris tries to do a fist bump, the guy simply grabs it. Chris meets a blind guy. He learns that the blind guy is an art dealer. The blind guy is also an admirer of Chris's photographs. Chris jokes to the housekeeper that he gets nervous when there are too many white people, but the housekeeper laughs with tears, and she says she's treated like family. Back at the party, Chris secretly takes a photo of the other black guy, but the flash sets something off. The black guy yells at Chris to get out. While Chris and Rose are away, the white people play a weird bingo game. We realize it's an auction, and Chris is being sold. The blind art dealer wins the auction. Chris sends a photo of the black guy to his friend, and Rod tells him they know the guy. Chris's phone battery dies. Chris sees an open cupboard. Inside is a box. There are photos of Rose with many black boyfriends. The last photo is of Rose with a black housekeeper. Chris is trying to leave, but Rose can't find the car keys. Chris is surrounded by the family. Rose has been hiding the keys in her hand. Chris attacks Rose's brother, but Mom taps a teacup and Chris falls unconscious. The family moves him as he watches from the sunken place. Rod Googles the photo of the black guy. He's been missing. He goes to the cops, but they laugh at him. Chris wakes up. He is tied to a chair. A video plays. It shows Rose's grandfather talking about their family business. They transplant people's brains into the bodies of others. The teacup is tapped and Chris is unconscious again. We see Chris pulling cotton out of the seat. The TV comes on again. It's the blind art dealer in a hospital gown. The art dealer explains the process. The blind art dealer's brain will be placed into Chris's body. The art dealer will control Chris's body, while Chris can only watch from the sunken place. The teacup is tapped, and Chris is unconscious again. The operation room is prepared. Rose's brother comes to get Chris, but Chris knocks him out. Chris plugged his ears with cotton so he wouldn't be hypnotized. Rose's father checks to see where Chris is, and Chris kills him. Chris sees Rose's mom. He knocks over the teacup and kills her too. Rose's brother attacks Chris again, but Chris kills him. Chris takes the key and drives off, but he hits the housekeeper. He puts her in the car. Rose comes out and pulls out a shotgun. She doesn't shoot because the black housekeeper is her grandma. The black housekeeper attacks Chris, causing a car accident. Rose walks up. She tells her grandpa, the black housekeeper, to get Chris, but Chris snaps a photo with flash. The groundskeeper seems to wake up. He takes the shotgun and shoots Rose and himself. Rose is still alive. Chris tries to kill her, but he can't. We hear sirens, and Rose is happy that help has arrived, but it's Rod who came to save Chris. Chris asks how Rod found him, and Rod says he's Tia's motherfucking A.